Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are dismantling a miracle. We're looking at a cognitive feat you're performing right this second. It's something so automatic you probably don't even think of it as a skill.
We're talking about reading, but not, literacy rates or phonics. We're going way deeper.
We're looking at the mechanics of the black box. Today we are breaking down the architecture of discourse comprehension, drawing heavily from the work of Rolf Swan and David Rapp.
This is really the science of how the human brain takes these static little symbols on a page and turns them into a dynamic, a four-dimensional simulation right inside your mind.
Right. It's the difference between just seeing the word fire and actually feeling the heat. Swan and Rapp argue that comprehension isn't just about defining words, it's about building an entire world.
And to really get how fragile that construction is, we have to start with a little test. A stress test, really, for your own processing capabilities.
I remember this from the source text. It's a sequence of riddles. They seem like they're for kids, but psycholinguists love them because they reveal this specific failure mode in adult brains.
Okay, so let's run the sequence. I'll ask, you give the standard answers. First one, how do you put an elephant into a refrigerator?
Simple. You open the door, put the elephant in, and you close the door.
Okay, easy enough. Second one, how do you put a giraffe into a refrigerator?
Right. You open the door, you take the elephant out, put the giraffe in, and then you close the door.
That is the crucial step. Most people forget to take the elephant out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, third. The Lion King is hosting a mandatory meeting for all animals. Everyone is there, but one animal is missing. Which one is it?
It's the giraffe, because he's still locked in the refrigerator.
Exactly. And the last one, you're an explorer. You're at the edge of a river, and it's just teeming with man-eating crocodiles. You have no boat, no weapons. How do you get a
You'd
crocodile?
swim. All the crocodiles are at the Lion King's meeting.
Right. So why do we start deep dive on, complex psycholinguistics with children's jokes?
Because it perfectly demonstrates this idea of discourse comprehension versus just like isolated processing. If you treat those riddles as four separate puzzles, you fail.
You can't.
You can only solve them if you maintain this continuous evolving mental state, what they call a situation model, where the elephant stays in the fridge until you explicitly move him.
And that continuity is exactly what we're exploring today. How does the brain build that model? How does it decide what to keep active and what to just, let go of?
And Swan and Rapp suggest this whole process kicks off before you even read the first word. It starts with just recognizing the genre.
This is what they call the blueprint phase. The moment you pick up a text, your brain is already making bets. It's allocating resources based on what kind of text it thinks it is.
So Swan and Rapp identify three main types that trigger these different strategies, right?
Exactly. You've got narrative, expository, and procedural.
Narrative being, stories, novels. That's our default mode for fun reading.
And in that narrative framework, the brain is laser-focused on chronological order and causal links. We're looking for a protagonist, their goal, and a chain of events.
So if a story jumps around in time, like with a flashback,
You see a measurable spike in cognitive load. The brain literally has to pause, take apart the timeline it built, and then rebuild it. We just crave linearity.
which is so different from expository text, like a textbook or a news article. The whole strategy just shifts.
Completely. In expository reading, the timeline is not the priority. Structure is. Your brain flips from a who did what mode to a fact retrieval mode. You're not looking for a hero, you're scanning for the main idea.
You're building a hierarchy, not a movie.
Precisely.
Okay.
And the third one, procedural, is probably the most unique. This is your recipes, IKEA manuals, that sort of thing.
The agent is assumed.
Yes, the text might just say turn the bolt, but your mental simulation is you turn the bolt. The brain automatically casts you, the reader, as the one performing the action.
Okay, so that's step one, setting the strategy. Step two is processing the raw data. And this is where Swan's work on linguistic cues gets, really granular.
Right, because we tend to just ignore the little words, a and the. But the source material argues they're basically high-level programming commands for your brain.
Programming commands.
They're processing instructions. So think of your brain as a file clerk. When you read the indefinite article A, as in a student entered the room, that's a command to create a new file.
Okay, so a new memory slot is open for some generic student.
Exactly. But if the sentence is, the student entered the room,
Now it's a search command.
it's a search command. It tells the cloud, hey, we've already got a file on this person. Go back, find the specific student we just mentioned, and update their info.
Which explains why it's so jarring if you read, the senator admitted guilt out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Your brain searches, finds nothing, and it's like a 404 error.
And that Error is that little pause, that moment of confusion you feel. It's called first mention privilege.
Mm.
The first time an entity is introduced, usually with A, it sets the foundation for everything that comes next.
But grammar is just the traffic signal. The
Yeah.
actual, the meaning comes from what the source calls the knowledge scaffold.
Yes.
And there's that famous Bransford and Johnson experiment. I think we have to run it on the listener to really land the point.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll read the passage exactly as it was given to the study participants. Just try to build a mental picture of what's happening.
Good.
The procedure is actually quite simple. First, you arrange items into different groups. Of course, one pile may be sufficient depending on how much there is to do. If you have to go somewhere else due to a lack of facilities, that is the next step. Otherwise, you are pretty well set. It is important not to overdo things. A mistake can be expensive as well.
And without the context, it's just a cognitive nightmare. I mean, you get every word, the grammar's fine, but the movie in your head is totally blank. It's just this abstract anxiety.
But if I give you a title, washing clothes.
It just snaps into place
Yeah.
instantly. Arranging items is sorting whites and colors. Lack of facilities is the laundromat. Expensive mistake. That's shrinking your favorite sweater.
The text itself didn't change, but the script did. We have these preloaded bundles of knowledge, the laundry script, the restaurant script, the going to the doctor script.
And we rely on these scripts to fill in all the massive gaps. I mean, if I say, John dined at Mario's, I don't need to tell you he looked at a menu or that a cook made the food.
The script just provides that data automatically, and this leads to what's called the construction integration model, or the CI model. It describes how we mix the text with those scripts.
And it suggests our brains are actually really messy in those first few milliseconds.
Incredibly messy. This is the difference between construction and integration. In the construction phase, the brain is, for lack of a better word, promiscuous. It activates every possible meaning of a word.
Every single one.
Every one. So if you read the word mint for a few hundred milliseconds, your brain activates candy, herb, and money factory all at once.
Even if the sentence is the candy wrapper smelled of mint.
Yes. For a split second, money factory is live. That's the construction phase. It's dumb, broad activation. Then integration kicks in, and the context acts as a filter. It suppresses the meanings that don't fit.
So comprehension is this two-step process.
Yeah.
You flood the zone with every possible association, and then you just ruthlessly cull the ones that don't make sense.
And we're doing this multiple times a second. It's an incredible process. We use those surviving associations to build inferences.
Right, and the source talks about two kinds. You have the connective inferences, which are mandatory.
Right, the bridge builders. The text gives that example. Murray poured water on the fire went out. The text doesn't say the water caused it to go out.
You have to infer that. If you don't, it's just two random statements.
You have to. But then you have elaborative inferences. They're optional. They're like set dressing for your mental movie.
Like, John ate the soup. I infer he used a spoon.
You infer a spoon. He could be drinking from the bowl. The text doesn't say. But your eating soup script suggests the spoon, so you add one in to make the simulation richer.
And simulation is really the key word here, isn't it?
Mm.
We've arrived at the core idea of the Zwan and Rapp chapter. The end product of all this work is the situation model.
This is the idea that we don't remember the text. We don't remember the surface structure. We remember the situation the text describes.
So if you tell me a story today, next week I won't be able to quote it back to you.
Not a single sentence. But you'll be able to describe what happened. You keep the mental event. You throw away the linguistic data.
So how do we maintain this simulation? The source talks about the event indexing model. This idea that we're tracking 5 specific things at all times.
Yeah, it's like a dashboard with 5 dials: time, space, entity, motivation, and causation. And as long as those dials are steady, reading is smooth. The second one of them jumps, your brain has to do a cognitive update.
Okay, let's break those down. The studies for each are fascinating. Let's start with time.
Zwan ran experiments where people read stories with time shifts. A phrase like, "a moment later" caused almost no disruption at all.
Easy update.
But a phrase like "an hour later" or "the next day" caused a significant slowdown in reading speed. The words aren't harder, but the mental simulation is. The brain has to reset the clock.
And then there's space. This is the famous map study.
A classic. Participants memorize a map of a building, a library, a lab, a lounge. Then they read a story about a character moving through that building.
And they get interrupted with a question.
Right. They're asked, are these two objects in the same room? And here's the thing. They knew where everything was. They memorized the map perfectly.
But their reaction times told a different story.
Exactly. They were fastest at identifying objects in the room the character was currently in, slower for the room they just left, and slowest for rooms on the other side of the building.
It's like a mental spotlight follows the character around. Even though you know where the library is, that information is less accessible because the protagonist is in the lounge, you are walking with them.
Which brings us to entity. We track the protagonist. We adopt their perspective. If the protagonist is blindfolded in the story, we stop making visual inferences.
What about motivation, tracking goals?
Goals are the engine, and what's fascinating is how we handle them. Information related to an active, unsatisfied goal stays highly accessible. The moment the goal is met, the character eats the sandwich, that information gets flushed from the active buffer.
We hold on to the tension.
We do. And finally, causation. We track the why. If something happens without a clear cause, the brain just stumbles. It starts a search to bridge that gap. If it can't, the model collapses and we feel confused.
So we're juggling all 5 of these dimensions in real time. But Swan and Rapp go even further. They argue this whole situation model isn't just an abstract thing, it's an embodied simulation.
This is the theory of embodied cognition, and it really challenges that old computer metaphor of the brain. The old view is that the brain just processes abstract symbols.
Right.
Embodied cognition says no. The brain understands the world by simulating it using the body's own motor and sensory systems.
It sounds almost, metaphysical. But they have hard physiological data.
Oh, they do. It's called motor resonance. When you read a word like kick, you don't just get a definition. The motor cortex, the part of your brain that controls your actual leg, it activates. You are, on a microscopic level, preparing to kick.
The grip study is the real smoking gun here, I think.
Absolutely. Participants read sentences about objects. Some objects, like a hammer, need a power grip. Others, like a needle, need a precision grip.
And they had to squeeze a device to answer a question about the sentence.
Right. And when the text mentioned a power grip object, they were much faster to respond if the answer also required a power grip squeeze. If the action didn't match the word, they were significantly slower.
So the meaning of the word hammer literally interfered with the physical action of their hand.
Because the brain had already preloaded the power grip motor program just from reading the word.
And there was the drawer study, too, which dealt with direction.
Even more intuitive, you read, he opened the drawer, which is a pulling motion, or he closed the drawer, a pushing motion. And to answer, you had to either pull or push a lever.
And the results.
When the action in the sentence matched the physical motion of your arm reading open and pulling, you were fast. When they mismatched reading open but having to push, you lagged.
The action-sense compatibility effect. You can't help but physically simulate what you read.
We are immersed experiencers. We don't just watch the story, we inhabit it. And this explains that final wallpaper and mug example they use.
The physics engine.
The physics engine in our heads. Scenario A, he put the wallpaper on the table, he put his mug on the wallpaper.
No problem. My brain simulates a flat, horizontal surface. The mug is stable.
Right. Scenario B, he put the wallpaper on the wall, he put his mug on the wallpaper.
Instant red alert. You know immediately that's wrong. Not because of grammar, but because you simulate a vertical wall, you apply gravity, and your internal model predicts a crash.
We are running a full-on virtual reality simulation complete with gravity and friction, and it's all powered by our own motor neurons.
It just completely reframes the act of reading. It isn't passive consumption. It is a biological reenactment. When you read a thriller and your heart races, that's not a metaphor.
Your brain is literally placing you inside that event.
Which brings us all the way back to our elephant and our giraffe.
It does.
We started with a riddle, so the last one. In a race between an elephant and a giraffe, who wins?
And if we apply the rules of the situation model specifically, the dimension of space and the continuity of the whole discourse.
The elephant wins.
Because the giraffe is still stuck in the refrigerator from riddle number 2.
The model holds. We never cleared the buffer.
We didn't. The giraffe entity was logged in the refrigerator spatial index, and until some new event moves him, that's where he stays.
It's a silly example, but it really proves a profound point. We are world builders. Every time we read, we are constructing a universe, tracking its laws, and, in a way, living inside it.
And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over. If understanding language actually requires us to simulate it with our own motor systems, to physically rehearse the actions we read about, where's the line, really, between witnessing a story and living it?
Are we ever truly just observers?
The data seems to suggest Maybe not. Biologically, we're always the protagonist.
Something to think about the next time you pick up a book.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.